Welcome to the world of exploration and learning. Welcome to the world of learning. Let's begin with the age of Pope, or also referred to as Augustan literature. Alexander Pope is the most prominent poet of this era, and that is why it is the age of Pope. So it is also known as the age of Pope. It's also referred to as the age of Pope, the age of Pope, or the Augustan literature. It also has the name of the age of enlightenment. It is also referred to as the age of enlightenment. So you can refer to it as the age of Pope, or the Augustan literature, or the age of enlightenment, or the age of reason. It could be anything, as judgment of everything was on rational and scientific grounds. And why do we refer it as an age of enlightenment, as an age of reason, is because of the fact that everything was based on rational and scientific grounds, and that is precisely why the name it has been named like that, right? Then moderation was standard behavior, and anything extravagant was not very acceptable. So moderation was seen as the standard behavior, as the standard norm, as the standard aspect, and anything that was extravagant was not very acceptable during this time. The writers of this age stayed close to the style of ancient writers, and that for them was good writing. So the writers of such times, of this time, especially of the Augustan age, or of the age of the Pope, or of the age of the Enlightenment, or of the age of reason, stayed close to the style of ancient writers, and that for them was a good writing. This era was also called the classical age of poetry, and this era was also known as the classical age of poetry. It was the poetry of criticism and argument. Writers wrote it for the interest of society, and there was no use of imagination or love of nature expressed. However, as the era progressed, great poets like Pope came forward and wrote everlasting poems, examples of which are The Melancholy of James Thomson, The Seasons, Edward Young's Night Thoughts. Mock heroic poetry was also very prominent. Alexander Pope's The Rape of the Lock and the Dunciads are still great examples of the mock heroic poetry. In drama, George Lillo and Richard Steele composed very high moral forms of tragedy. In those, the characters were entirely middle class or working middle class. Opera was also becoming popular in England at this time. What was becoming popular? Opera was becoming popular during this time in England. In prose, The Spectator of Joseph Addison and Richard Steele dominated the initial period. It was a British periodical essay containing 2,500 words each. There was a more work on novels too. So herein the emphasis laid on novel writing too. Daniel Defoe's novels Roxana, Moll Flanders, and Robinson Crusoe are of importance. Other authors of this era include Jonathan Swift. Samuel Richardson, Henry Fielding, and Tobias Smollett. Another important work of this period include Roderick Random, Gulliver's Travels, A Modest Proposal, The Drapier Letters, Pamela, A Virtue Rewarded, Joseph Andrews, Shamila, Clarissa, and Tom Jones, etc. Then we move on to the Age of Johnson. Age of Johnson is the name of this era because of the prominent work of Samuel Johnson in this era. So herein we are basically talking about Samuel Johnson. Johnson was an English writer who provided long-lasting contributions to English literature. He was a poet essayist, moralist, literary critic, biographer, editor, and a lexicographer. A dictionary of the English language by Johnson was published in 1755. After 9 years of writing, literary people describe it as one of the greatest single achievements of scholarship. Richard Brinsley Sheridan is another name of this era who went on to become the most prominent playwright of this particular time period. His famous works that were instant success include The Rivals and The School for Scandal. Other emerging Irish authors of this age include Oliver Goldsmith and Lawrence Sterne. Their works include The Vicar of Wakefield, The Deserted Village, The Good-Natured Man, She Stoops to Conquer, etc. Also written in this era was Frances Burney's Evelina, which was one of the first novels of manners. Again, very, very important. The genre of sentimental novel or novel of sensibility formed during this period. This era observes the intellectual and emotional perceptions of sensibility, sentiment, and sentimentalism. Sentimentalism began as a fashion in both prose and poetry fiction in the 18th century. That is why the Age of Sensibility is another name of this period. Here, it is also known as the Age of Sensibility. Most prominent sentimental novels from this age include Vicar of Wakefield, Tristram Shandy, The Man of Feeling. The genre of Gothic fiction emerged too by Horace Walpole's novel The Castle of Otranto. It combines components of romance and horror. Anne Radcliffe presented the dark figure of Gothic villain. The figure later advanced into the Byronic hero. The Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne is an example of this genre. In the next session, we are going to cover the age of Wordsworth. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel so that we get support. Please, we really need your support. Do like, share, subscribe to this channel. Please press on the bell icon so that you get notified every time we upload any such video. Thank you, my dear learners.